Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Flame Emperor episode number 583 based on novel. So let's start. The ancient giant ruler, shining with billions of brilliance, descended from the sky, carrying some kind of mighty power that was enough to defeat the divine mansion. Going away, even this already shattered world cannot move under its divine might. Countless shocking gazes gathered in the sky below, and everyone could only vaguely see an evil light curtain and an ancient giant ruler exuding vast divine might. The radiance of the gods, full of endless radiance, permeated the heaven and earth, and was easily entangled with the unparalleled evil light curtain. Every moment of confrontation seemed to have endless humming of divine power. The shocking sound that shook the 9 days swept out, and the energy ripples generated between the two collisions were like a black hole in the abyss that had never been seen before. As soon as it emerged, it produced a very terrifying power of devouring, ruthlessly swallowing the broken world. The endless dark sea of blood and the power of flames swept out of the black hole of the abyss, and then turned into hundreds of millions of torrents surging, just like the birth of a dragon. This attack and collision seems to be countless times more terrifying than any previous one, but mortals are involved, and I am afraid that they will be destroyed in an instant. Are you evenly matched? The two attacks were instantly stalemate in midair, and there seemed to be no obvious signs of victory. The Holy King and Xiao Tianming shook their heads in unison, obviously having a feeling. It seems not quite right. In the crowd, Yaroji, Lei Zhu, the leader of the fire elves and other powerful leaders had a shadow in their hearts, and it seemed that some kind of more terrifying power slowly emerged. That kind of power. It's not the breath that was secretly chasing me back then, but why is the inner unease so intense? Yaoji's beautiful eyes blinked, staring at the intensifying flames of war in the sky, and immediately wondered. But soon, in the abyss black hole generated in the center of that round of confrontation, there were hundreds of millions of rays of light flickering. Those forces just emerged and turned into a round of piercing scorching sun, rising from the endless abyss, carrying the vast divine power ravages the world. Crush it. In the battle of the gods, a heart-piercing roar suddenly spread out, and everyone was pleasantly surprised to see that the evil light curtain, like a copper wall and an iron wall, at this time, slowly trembled, and immediately followed by a finger-sized light curtain. Cracks keep spreading on it. On the other hand, the ancient giant foot offensive on the other side has not been reduced. Under the threat of this extreme pressure, Xiao Yan stepped on the void, resisting all the evil auras in the world, slowly waving his figure, waving the ancient giant ruler in his hand to walk towards the evil light curtain. The heavenly demon Sage Emperor in the evil light curtain has now become an ant with no power to bind a chicken. As long as this evil light curtain is shattered, the countless rounds of battles between the great thousand worlds and the extraterritorial evil race will be completely over. Before there were black and white scorching sun needles that devoured Dakian, and afterward there were evil creatures from outside the realm. The two disasters must be solved one by one, otherwise, once they came at the same time, I am afraid that the entire Dakian world would be wiped out. End it completely. All the chi, blood and divine power in the body rolled for it, and immediately turned into a stream of light that escaped from Xiao Yang's body, and poured all of them into the distant chimang of the ***** of death with the momentum of thunder. In an instant, the radiance of the ancient chimang flourished. The sacred and high-pitched ancient voice emerged, affecting the hearts and souls of countless creatures. Under the blessing of that majestic power, the ancient chimang is like the most terrifying power between heaven and earth. Wherever it spreads, the entire sky trembles, and countless evil auras are quickly extinguished under it. Even the evil light curtain is there, trembling violently. Success. At this moment, a touch of indescribable joy suddenly emerged from the hearts of many strong people, and there are many strong people with tears in their eyes. Crack. In just an instant, on the evil light curtain evolved from the heart of the holy demon god, a crisp sound of shattering suddenly emerged. Obviously, the latter could not withstand the terrifying attack of this god-killing ruler. It turned out to be random. Over time, it crumbled a little bit. No. Impossible. At this moment, I felt the rapid collapse and shrinking of the light curtain of the evolution of the holy demon god's heart, and the contempt and disdain in the eyes of the holy demon holy emperor disappeared, replaced by a rare fear. The power of the holy demon god's heart is rapidly weakening, and it will be completely annihilated under Xiao Yang's attack after a short while. This battle seems to have come to an end. After 10 breaths, the ancient ruler flickered out of thin air, and it turned out to burn and purify the evil light curtain. Therefore, the heavenly demon holy emperor made a pitiful tearing sound. 1 foot breaks 10,000 things. Heavenly Demon Holy Emperor, what else do you have to say? The strongest offensive of the Heavenly Demon Sage Emperor was completely disintegrated by Xiao Yang. The whole world became calm. Xiao Yang's eyes contained unprecedented strictness, and he stared coldly at the Heavenly Demon Sage Emperor. Now the latter, the evil power in the body is almost wilted, and the eyes are sunken. Senbai's eyeballs are full of countless bloodshots, and the dark blood is constantly overflowing from his ears, nose and mouth, and the whole person looks very oozing. He has already it is no different from an ordinary evil. Susu. I really can't imagine that the descendants of the mere Xiao clan can actually break our clan's plan. This seat is unwilling. The Heavenly Demon Sage Emperor stretched out his shriveled palms somewhat self-deprecatingly, grabbed the blood spilling everywhere, and then suddenly raised his eyes to look up at the sky above the heaven and earth in the Buddha realm. After defeating the Heavenly Demon Holy Emperor, before Xiao Yang had time to ask questions, or use his soul power to probe the birthplace of the outer territory leader, he strangely sensed some irresistible force. The source of those powers does not come from the Heavenly Demon Sage Emperor, but from the very top of this Buddhist world. Ever since he broke through the quasi-god and the Heavenly Demon Sage Emperor to fight the gods, the top of the sky has been covered by the evil aura, so even Xiao Yang has not noticed the chain. When the Buddha realm was transformed into a foreign base camp, it had already become dark and bloody, and it was dark and no sunlight was visible all day long, so the light of the scorching sun above the sky was also covered by it. With the attitude of the Heavenly Demon Sage Emperor, Xiao Yang was also a little puzzled, and slowly raised his head. Now all the evil races outside the realm no longer exist, and even the Heavenly Demon Sage Emperor has failed, leaving only the leader of the outside world whose life and death are unknown. It seems that the foreign evil clan has no power to fight again, but why is there a vague sense of unease on the top of the head? Brother Xiao Yang, we succeeded. At this moment, the powerful men of the great thousand allied forces below also leaped into the sky one after another by virtue of their weak strength, looking at Xiao Yang with admiration and respect. Wait, that's not quite right. Looking at the countless powerhouses approaching, Xiao Yang's complexion suddenly changed, then he raised his palm, and swung the God Execution ruler heavily towards the top of the sky. Bang! Jushenqi's attack instantly dispelled the evil mist, only to see a black and white scorching sun flickering on the top of the Buddha's world. In the black and white scorching sun, the white light seems to have only the last trace of luster. But this black and white scorching sun is exactly the same as the one in the Great Thousand World. This is the formation of the black and white scorching sun ***** in the battle between the World Master in the center of the human world and the leader outside the realm. Feeling the strange scorching sun hanging high above the sky, the strong men of the Great Thousand Alliance army can't help but feel a tinge of fear. Fear penetrates into their souls, making them unable to look directly at the black and white scorching sun, and even less able to raise any thoughts of resistance. The moment when the black and white scorching sun appeared, it was like some kind of lingering nightmare that enveloped his heart, causing his body to tremble slowly. Isn't this divine formation always suspended in the Great Thousand World? Why did you secretly pour into the Buddha realm? There was a blank space in the minds of countless people, and the Holy King and others began to speak together, and they were also very puzzled by such a strange scene. Since the Buddha realm was captured by the evil tribes outside the realm, this place has been eroded by its supreme magic power, and it has long been no longer part of the Great Thousand World. It's just that the appearance of this round of black and white scorching sun is really weird. Xiao Tianming also shook his head, his brows furrowed, he didn't know much about this matter. Ha ha ha. Xiao Yang, you can't think of the eternal plan of my leader outside the realm anyway. In this battle between you and me, it is true that I lost, but I, the alien race, won. Next, I would like to invite you all to witness the road to the god of fighting that has never appeared in this world. Fat. As soon as the words fell, the almost sluggish body of the Heavenly Demon Sage Emperor disintegrated instantly, and strands of completely different evil origin chi gushed out from his body, and then quickly poured into the black and white scorching sun above the sky. Countless evil origin chi is filled with earth-shattering ecstasy, as if returning to his own body. Extraterritorial evil race, is it really transformed by the power of the leader of the extraterritorial? Seeing such an incredible scene, countless people became stunned, and it was difficult for them to recover for a long time. The original guess of Mu Yingying was actually true? That's Earth Spirit Pearl? Why did the things of the World Master at the center of the human world appear on him? After a while, Mu Yingying's pretty face became tense, but from the evil origin chi roaring up, she saw an ancient bead, and that bead was also traced by the evil origin chi, facing the black and white. The scorching sun blasted away. This thing is the most important thing, it must be obtained no matter what. There was a serious look on the faces of the Holy King and Xiao Tianming, obviously planning to sink the boat. That's too late. The land of the Buddha realm can no longer withstand the impact of such a destructive force, and it may completely collapse at any time. You go first, and I will try it. Xiao Yang took a deep breath, and then his expression was filled with unprecedented solemnity. Obviously, among the powerhouses present, only Xiao Yang, who stepped into the realm of the gods, felt the endless magic power in the black and white scorching sun. That aura was exactly the same as that of the leader outside the realm, even better than when he was in the center of the human world. The leader outside the realm that he saw was countless times more terrifying. In the confrontation between the leader of the extraterritorial and the center of the human world, I am afraid that the leader of the extraterritorial won. Now with the return and injection of the original chi of countless extraterritorial evil races, it seems that the leader of the extraterritorial may really touch the legend. Equivalence. Fighting God. But. At this time, Kaylin and Yunyun's pretty faces sank, and they were very worried about Xiao Yang, who possessed some extraordinary power in their bodies, and they also vaguely felt the endless magic power contained in the black and white scorching sun. The strength in your body is almost wilting. If you stay here, I will inevitably be distracted. Xiao Yang turned his head, his eyes locked on the scorching sun above the sky. Countless evil origin chi converged on him, and the majestic scene was once terrifying. Let's go, Sister Kaylin, Sister Yunyun. At this moment, Zuna was also well aware of the seriousness of the situation. Boom. The Jushin ruler was swung out again, and a crack appeared out of nowhere in the void of the Buddha realm. Immediately, the strong men of the Great Thousand Allied Forces moved quickly, evacuating all of them like a long dragon. Buzz. When the Great Thousand Allied Forces were all evacuated, the nearly pitch-black evil scorching sun suddenly surged, and circles of pitch-black rings descended from the sky and blasted away. The indescribable power of heaven and earth was attached to the ring, even Xiao Yang was slightly shocked. Your opponent, but me. Cut me. The speed of Xiao Yang's body soared, and then his body burned with determination. The holy flames continued to replenish the power consumed by him, and then a series of heavy blows were cast from the God Execution Ruler, smashing all the gloomy circles away. Buzz. All the rings were completely smashed, but Xiao Yang's arm conveyed a violent numbness. Obviously, when the evil ring was shattered with the God Execution Ruler, the shock generated by the latter's shattering, this doubled Xiao Yang's pressure. Four God realms. Xiao Yang's voice became indifferent until there was no one Great Thousand Allied army in the entire Buddha realm. Although it was a little unbelievable, in the scorching sun of evil, Xiao Yang really felt a force that surpassed his own numbers. Double the supreme evil power is rapidly reborn. Once the latter comes completely, I am afraid that this world will also face an unprecedented disaster. In the evil scorching sun, the last trace of white luster is still tenacious resistance, and the black and white luster is constantly flashing. Flaming God Cauldron. God-killing ruler. 33 holy flames. Demon power. The power of the dragon god. Blast me. The power of countless explosions was instantly pressed into the flame god cauldron by Xiao Yang, and immediately turned into a violent sky-shaking light that roared completely. Bang! It is a pity that in the face of Xiao Yang's desperate attack, when it collided with the evil scorching sun, an ancient sharp sound gushed out, and then a violent shock wave gushed out from it, and then bounced Xiao Yang's body several times. Miles. When the sound wave attacked Xiao Yang's body, the latter's chest was slightly sunken, as if there was some kind of lethal power, and the power of the sound wave was completely injected into Xiao Yang's body. One step too late. At the moment of flying backwards, all the chi and blood in Xiao Yang's body instantly became disordered, the meridians were disordered, and the blood was overflowing uncontrollably. The whole body looked very embarrassed. Yang's sanity was on the verge of coma. 2 seniors, save people. In an instant, when the world of Buddha was completely reduced to a part of the evil scorching sun, a void was torn open out of thin air, and the hot angel feathers slowly stretched out, and the hurried voice resounded. Boom! The 2 demigods combined with the supreme divine power of the Queen of Angels, and it took a lot of effort to drag Xiao Yang out of the Buddha realm. For a time, in the Buddha realm, the light of death flourished. Countless rocks, soil, woods, forests, were all absorbed and swallowed up by the evil scorching sun, and the entire Buddha realm turned into a barren land. On the other hand, the black and white scorching sun suspended in the sky was slowly replaced by the pitch black color, and its size became huge. A catastrophe came slowly. In the mansion of the mistress of the endless fire territory, the Holy King, Xiao Tianming, and Qing Yuan just dragged Xiao Yang out of the Buddha realm and fell to the ground, gasping for breath, apparently just to save Xiao Yang from a long distance, consumes too much blood power. Looking down, the Holy King and Xiao Tianming have a disturbed breath, their bodies are weak, and their faces are pale. But not far from them, the situation of Angel Queen Qing Yuan of the Kingdom of Angels is not optimistic. On the latter's originally noble face, there was a trace of exhaustion, and even the angel fire behind him was slightly dimmed, and the 12 angel feathers were even more fragmented, as if they had been attacked by some kind of unprecedented catastrophic attack. The whole person is very haggard. Queen of Angels. You are this. Seeing that Xiao Yang was in a quiet coma by the side, he didn't seem to be in serious trouble. Several mistresses also surrounded Qing Yuan together and hurriedly asked. It seems that the Queen of Angels did not participate in the Battle of the Buddha realm this time, but where did she go during this period? The black and white scorching sun divine formation suddenly disappeared after swallowing nearly 30% of the power of life in the Great Thousand World. I secretly followed it to find out the specific whereabouts, and I stepped into it by chance. In the battle between the two quasi-gods, Tian Yuanzi, the center of the human world, has been defeated by the leader of the outside world. The black and white scorching sun has been transformed into an altar of gods by its supreme magic power. Today, the leader of the outside world, it is gathering all the power, trying to attack. Battle God. Qing Yuan's clear eyes flashed with some helplessness, and then he said weakly, "As for the countless scars on the latter's delicate body, I am afraid it is a masterpiece from the first outside the realm. On the sacred and noble angel's feather, clusters of pitch-black black spots are like some kind of brand poison, which looks very shocking. Damn, the most worrying thing has happened. There are countless creatures of the evil tribe outside the territory. In a sense, they are all members of the evil tribe outside the territory. Now all the evil origins are returning. If they don't stop it, I'm afraid." When the Holy King heard the words, his expression darkened immediately. If he was really stepped into the Do God by the leader from outside the realm, I am afraid that the entire Great Thousand World would turn into a hell. Let's take a look at Xiao Yang's injury first. In order to save him, it was too late to resist the attack emanating from the evil scorching sun. I somehow felt that his body was planted by the first outside the realm. Deadly poison. Qing Yuan nodded, and then came to Xiao Yang's side with very anxious eyes. Very poisonous. Hearing this, Kalin's heart was slightly moved, and the colorful brilliance surging behind him, he directly held Xiao Yang's wrist, and after a while, even Kalin, who was always calm, instantly turned pale. Some frightening powers flowed in Xiao Yang's body. "Sister Kalin, what's going on?" When the other three mistresses heard the words, they all spoke in unison. Cai Lin did not speak, but slowly spread out her jade hand and quietly untied Xiao Yang's clothes. This is. Slightly opened Xiao Yang's clothes, the flesh and blood on the latter's chest was almost festering, causing his scalp to tingle. There were even countless dense evil lines attached to the flesh and blood, which penetrated deep into the bone marrow and burned into the soul. This is the first outside the territory mixed with divine poison, ordinary power, which cannot be disintegrated at all. After Qing Yuan carefully used the angel's flame and divine power to sense it, he shook his head helplessly. Obviously, this poisonous spot is too difficult for the strong present. It seems that the leader of the outside world is also afraid that Xiao Yang will cause trouble at the last minute, so he does not hesitate to use a part of the source of God to sow poison and temptation. Xiao Tianming opened his mouth, but he didn't think of a good solution for a while. "I'll try it." In Kalin's eyes, a rare trace of solemnity gradually emerged, and then looking at Xiao Yang, who was quietly unconscious, his expression became extremely solemn. If the vast power of the 10-colored sky-swallowing python is enough to make Kalin ignore the countless toxins in the heavens, then the poisonous spot displayed by the leader of the outside world is an existence that surpasses the 10-colored sky-swallowing python. No! This kind of evil poisonous spot is mixed with the supreme divine power of the leader outside the realm. Your strength has not even stepped into the demigod level. If you rush to expel it, I am afraid that it will only end in the destruction of body and spirit. Qing Yuan shook his head, and there was an irresistible divine breath in his pupils. Only me, Senior Saint King, Senior Xiao Tianming can do it. 3 seniors, let's try our best. After a while, Qing Yuan spoke again. As of now, this is the only way. A few people heard the words, and then swallowed the medicinal pills in large mouths, and then the other strong men quietly exited the room, leaving only 4 people. Brother Xiao Yang, are you all right? A few hours later, Xiao Yang dragged his heavy eyelids to open his eyes and saw 4 figures beside the bed. Zuna, Kaylin, Yunyun, Mu Ingying, the 4 daughters were all wandering in the wing room at this time, and there were even some crystal mists in their beautiful eyes, and their eyes were wrinkled. Cough cough. I'm fine. The land of the Buddha. Xiao Yang stood up slightly, but felt a wave of weakness emanating from his body. Before the 4 girls could speak, he abruptly lifted his sleeves, only to see a long and evil brand on his chest. On the brand, there is a demon eye, which is slightly closed, but it contains some kind of extraordinary evil power that cannot be resisted. Even the power of Qing Yuan and the 3 of them can only force it into a corner of Xiao Yang's body, and there is nothing they can do. This is. Xiao Yang's expression instantly turned ugly. Some small wounds, it's fine. Startled by Xiao Yang's sudden stern look, Zuna could only slightly drag Xiao Yang's arm and pouted. This is the source of the poison of the leader outside the realm. There is no solution in this world. Now that the leader of the outside world has absorbed the power of 3% of the living beings in the Great Thousand Worlds, it seems that it is just around the corner to cooperate with the return of countless source powers among the evil tribes outside the domain battle god. After hesitating for a moment, Cai Lin was the first to walk out of the 4 women, and then her icy eyes slowly looked at Xiao Yang. She knew Xiao Yang's temperament well, and now that the disasters and fears spread throughout the world, she wanted to deceive Xiao Yang. Yang, I am afraid it is not an easy task. The situation has gotten so serious. What about the Holy King and others? And the Kingdom of Angels? Contact them as soon as possible, the next battle must. Tear. Xiao Yang jumped up from the bed and just wanted to arrange the current affairs, but the branded demon eyes on his chest blinked slightly, and a heart-wrenching pain moved Xiao Yang. Countless sweat dripped from the forehead, and the skin, flesh, and meridians were instantly tense, as if there was some terrifying force within the body that was irresistible, trying to completely break his body and soul. The feeling of convulsions emanating from the whole body, even Xiao Yang today, is trembling. Among the poisonous spots only the size of a fist, there seems to be some kind of extraordinary divine power in the demon eye. It is absolutely possible that the strong of the gods can possess it and compete with it. The original poison of the leader outside the domain. Xiao Yang's expression was particularly solemn, and on his forehead, large drops of cold sweat dripped down, and he looked out at the sinister poisonous spots on his chest, and there was a faint oppression that always lingered in his body. Superior. It seems that every time you use the power in your body, the erosion of the poisonous spot's poison will go deeper, and the evil eye that has been living in the poisonous spot is constantly becoming more and more as the poisonous spot erodes. Get deep. The evil eye inhabiting the poisonous spot is more like a seed of evil. Once it grows from the latter, I am afraid that even Xiao Yang can't resist. For a time, the 4 daughters also crowded around Xiao Yang. Even if everyone tried their best, they could not drive him away. On the other side, with the end of the Second World decisive battle between the foreign evil race and the Great Thousand World, before countless human beings had time to be ecstatic, they noticed that the world of Great Thousand World was slowly shaking. In the void where the Buddhist world was connected to the Great World, suddenly there were countless beams of destruction, beams of light that shattered the void out of thin air. Those beams of destruction beams seemed to contain an unparalleled eerie magic energy. That kind of thick and sticky magic beam of light to the extreme seems to be able to ignoring the attack and resistance of many creatures in the Dakian world. It is like a greedy monster ruthlessly swallowing and destroying the Dakian world. Countless creatures looked up, and they couldn't help but feel a wave of anger and fear lingering in their hearts. As early as the First World War, the Dakian world had sacrificed countless supreme beings to protect the Dakian world in order to deal with the foreign evil clan. Now that the Dakian coalition has completely defeated the foreign evil clan, it should have been a happy ending for everyone. Cheng thought, there is actually a more terrifying existence behind this. The leader of the extraterritorial. The source of the eternal plan is also the biggest hidden danger of the leader of the extraterritorial. At this moment, with the appearance of such anomalies, countless areas in the entire Great Thousand World, in the shriveled deserts, in the lush forests, and even some originally noisy and prosperous cities have become silent, countless living beings. They all looked pale at the shocking scene above the sky of this world. The black and white scorching sun that had disappeared long ago calmed their minds slightly, but the emergence of such a beam of destruction now makes them feel an unprecedented despair more clearly. Even if they are weak, but relying on their own intuition, they seem to know clearly that once the source of those destructive beams of light comes to the world, I am afraid that this world will be barren and never peaceful. That is the biggest source of disaster in this world war. Oh, isn't there any other way? At this moment, the Holy King, Xiao Tianming, and others gathered in the hall of the mistress's mansion, staring at the endless void outside the hall of the mansion. In the endless void, the jet-black beams of destruction continued to rage out, and every time the raging spread, a region in the Great Thousand World would be completely annihilated under its offensive. That kind of power, even with the power of the two holy kings at the peak of the demigod level, could not handle it. For a time, the entire Great Thousand World became completely turbulent, and countless creatures of Great Thousand World were displaced, and they continued to flow toward the shelter built by the powerhouses of the Endless Flame Alliance. However, although the Endless Flame Alliance is said to be the #1 force in the Great Thousand Worlds, with the influx of so many creatures, it has become overcrowded for a while. In the hall, the Demon World Powerhouse, the King of all Beasts, the Poison World Powerhouse, the Poison Xuanhe, the Little Medical Fairy, the Ghost World Powerhouse Soul Eater, Duchifei, the World, the Latitude does not see the power of the Fairy World. By everyone. After a while, Xiao Yang and the four mistresses also walked slowly, but at this time, the aura in Xiao Yang's body was still chaotic. Xiao Yang saw that the top leaders of the great world in front of him were helpless in the face of the Chenggu plan of the leader of the outside world, and he couldn't help but laugh at himself for a while. He originally thought that as long as the evil tribe outside the world was solved, he would step into the birthplace of the leader of the outside world. If you find out, destroy the black and white scorching sun formation, and the great catastrophe will be self-defeating. It's a pity that he underestimated the strength and means of the foreign evil race from beginning to end. Today's leader outside the realm, it seems that no one can stop his footsteps from attacking the fighting god. Everyone was silent for a while, but as Xiao Yang's voice emerged, they immediately turned their attention to Xiao Yang. They clearly knew how terrifying the divine poisonous spots in Xiao Yang's body were, but the emaciated man in front of him actually suppressed his resistance abruptly. Your injury? As soon as Xiao Yang appeared, the great elder Xiao Yang in the hall frowned and said sternly, "After all, Xiao Yang is a member of the Xiao clan. It's his decision." Feeling the gazes of everyone in the hall, the four mistresses shook their heads helplessly. Because of Xiao Yang's injury, the Holy King and others naturally did not want him to participate, so they wanted the four mistresses to hide him. But now it seems to have failed. "This is my attention." Xiao Yang smiled at the four women beside him, and then walked straight to the center of the hall. This is the Endless Fire Territory, the core of the Endless Flame Alliance, and the last resort of the Great Thousand World. If you retreat at this juncture, I am afraid you will have trouble sleeping, and sleeping the situation is urgent now, but it is not. It doesn't mean we don't have a chance. Looking at Xiao Yang's tenacious posture, a dazzling flame suddenly flashed in the eyes of the Holy King. Obviously, for a holy spirit like him, he naturally knew some news that ordinary people could not know. What Senior said? Could it be true? At this time, the voice of the angel Queen Qing Yuan also became strange, and it seemed that she knew the meaning of the Holy King. When Xiao Yang heard this, he did not interrupt the conversation between the two, but the latter was aware of it. Good. In the Great Thousand World, no one has stepped into the rank of Do God since the ancient times. I am afraid there are some unknown secrets. Based on this seat's observation, the so-called divine way, at best, is nothing but some power that contains divinity. Unfortunately, the conditions for the emergence of the divine way are not clear. Now that time is pressing, we naturally cannot place our last hope on it. The Holy King's tone was flat, but there was a vague sense of inexplicable meaning. Senior, don't give up. At this time, the Thunder Lord also spoke softly. Hello everyone, we will find gold and coin red envelopes every day on our official account. Just pay attention to receive the last benefit at the end of the year. Please seize the opportunity. In addition to the so-called God's way, there is another way. That's Paradise Lost. The Holy King turned around quietly, with an unfathomable appearance, his eyes full of flames stared at the high sky of the Great Thousand World, as if he had made up his mind. Now that disaster is coming, if it is hidden and tucked, I am afraid that this world will be completely destroyed. It really is Paradise Lost. With the opening of the Holy King, Qing Yuan also nodded suddenly. With the long history of the Kingdom of Angels, he naturally knew a lot about Paradise Lost. As soon as the voice of the Holy King fell, Qing Yuanchao turned his attention to Xiao Yang, but Xiao Yang's expression was unusually ugly. Paradise Lost. That's the place where the so-called Doshan Supreme Powerhouse rests. Through the ages, countless fantastic legends have been bred. The other people couldn't help but move slightly when they heard the words, but among the group of high-level powerhouses, there were still some people with blank faces. Obviously, the 3 words Paradise Lost seemed to contain some kind of huge magic power and endless temptation. Although it's an excellent approach. But the location of Paradise Lost is too mysterious. Even if we search for countless precious ancient books in the Kingdom of Angels and the Great World, there is no record of it throughout the ages. How can we find it? After a while, a hint of helplessness appeared on Qing Yuan's pretty face. Obviously, Angel Kingdom and others had already thought of this method, but after searching for it, they had no choice but to give up. After all, the so-called resting place of the fighting god, isn't it something that mere mortals can touch? Yeah. The location of Paradise Lost is mysterious, and even if it is found, it is unknown whether it has the qualifications to step into it, or find a way to step into the God of War. In the face of Qing Yuan's doubts, the Holy King nodded in agreement. Obviously, this is the crux of the problem. But for this, the Holy King obviously has his backing. As the Holy King spoke, his eyes kept hovering over the hall. Those who were stronger than the 9 levels of reincarnation, the King of Beasts, the 2 rulers of the center of the human world, the King of Darkness, the King of the Underworld, the King of Golden Dragons, Xiao Yan, and others. If things really come to the juncture of life and death, can you gather the power of countless supreme powers in the world? Can you be like a demon and a holy emperor, create a fighting **** out of thin air? Paradise Lost. Not long after, Xiao Yang in the middle of the hall also began to murmur. But, this is our last resort right now. Seeing Xiao Yang like this, the Holy King couldn't help shaking his head. When the Dacian allied forces attacked the base camp of the evil tribes outside the Buddha realm, and finally wiped out the heavenly demon Sage Emperor, the leader of the outside world suddenly shot in the black and white scorching sun, and he couldn't help taking all the origin chi, including the heavenly demon Sage Emperor, back into his body, even the earth spirit orb. Completely devoured by it. Losing one of the 5 spirit orbs, it would be even more difficult to find the location of Paradise Lost again. Hey, why don't you see only the powerhouses in the Fairyland? Today is a time to discuss important matters. Why? After a long time, no one spoke in the hall, but Xiao Tianming began to frown. Fairy world? When I was passing through the immortal realm, I vaguely sensed that the immortal realm was under martial law, as if something major had happened. Being reminded by Xiao Tianming, the spirit-swallowing king on the side suddenly patted his head and hurriedly spoke. What? As soon as these words came out, the expressions of everyone in the hall instantly became serious. Report. There are strong men in the Fairyland who shattered the void and came. Exchange good books and pay attention to the VX public account, Book Friends Base Camp. Follow now to receive cash red envelopes. And just when everyone was in a trance, in the high sky of the endless fire domain outside, there was the voice of the Void Guard. This is Immortal Realm, someone from Moon God Palace? Even if the latter has not fully appeared, Yaroji has insight into the breath. The void twisted slightly, and a crescent moon appeared first in the void, and then a graceful figure stepped into the void. Meng Master Xiao, this volume was personally kept by the Palace Master of the Moon God Palace. Now the Moon God tablet of the Palace Master and Lord Yueru has been shattered and gone. As soon as the visitor appeared, he followed the guidance of his breath and jumped into the hall of the mansion, hurriedly watching Xiao Yang with tears in his eyes. What did you say? Although I don't know what happened in the immortal realm, the shattering of the Moon God card is tantamount to the 2 powerhouses of the Moon God Palace. Yueshi, Yueru, the masters of the Moon God Palace, the first acquaintance he met when he first entered the Dodi continent, but now he has completely fallen? For a time, a touch of unspeakable melancholy could not help pouring into Xiao Yang's heart. The poisonous spots in his chest seemed to find an opportunity to quickly erode Xiao Yang, causing Xiao Yang to spray his blood on the ground out of thin air. Above, brilliant and colorful blood sprayed out from Xiao Yang's mouth, and black bubbles appeared on the floor of the ornately decorated hall, which actually corroded dozens of meters deep. Has the power of the poisonous spot demon been mixed into the blood? At this moment, the faces of the Holy King and others became even more ugly. This is what the Palace Lord explained before leaving. If something happens to them, I will hand it over to you. Please take a look. The person who came was just a disciple of Do Di in the Moon God Palace, so he spread out his palm, activated the Moon God's power unique to the Moon God Palace, and sent a moon scroll hidden in his body to Xiao Yang. Immortal world is safe. This is just entrusted by the 2 adults. Retire. The Moon God Palace disciple just spoke, but also slowly exited here. Feeling the tumbling of chi and blood in the body and the erosion of the poisonous spot demon's eyes, Xiao Yang gasped heavily, and then slowly spread the moon scroll on the palm of his hand. Xiao Yang, when you see this scroll, it means that something has happened to us. Don't go looking for us. The matter of the scroll is that I left it with the secret technique of the Moon God Palace, and it will not be stolen by anyone. You must listen carefully to the next thing. Since the ancient times, in the Great Thousand Worlds, there has never been a doe god born. As the first-generation disciple of the Moon God, I secretly spied on a way to attack the doe god, so this time I went with you to attack the doe god. God. Road to fighting gods, there is a big world, only paradise lost, and the ancient battlefield. If our lunar card is broken, remember not to look for the ancient battlefield. Be careful of the ancient battlefield. At that time, Paradise Lost will be the last chance for the Great Thousand World. Looking at the simple and bright words on the moon scroll, Xiao Yang felt a surge of intense pain in his heart. Yueshi and Yueru, I am afraid they have completely fallen now. But why are they going to attack the god of war? That is clearly not a realm that they can touch ancient battlefield. What is that? Time stalemate for 100 breaths, and then Mu Yingying spoke bitterly. Obviously, this so-called ancient battlefield is the place where Yueru and the two of them took care of themselves. But where are these places? The ancient battlefield, according to inheritance and memory, should be the place where the 10-colored swallowing python, the king of beasts, the flower god, the moon and many other gods fell. It can only be vaguely sensed. It seems that the ancient times, in the ancient battlefield, there was a battle to destroy the world, and many gods and mansions participated in the battle, and then the world was created by fighting gods. However, its whereabouts are equally mysterious. Kaelin, Yunyun, the king of beasts and the others looked at each other and shook their heads. If you can find the ancient battlefield and get any of the sacred objects from the many gods, I am afraid that it is expected to hit the fighting god. It's just a reminder from the two of Yueru, this place has to be guarded. Also, Paradise Lost. But now one of the 5 spirit orbs has been lost, and the location of the inhabitant of Paradise Lost cannot be determined. There's not much time left for us. In Xiao Yang's eyes, there seemed to be some kind of mysterious fluctuations, and the 10-layer shrine and Fenju in the body became abnormally quiet at this time. However, everyone was so helpless. Above the sky of the Great Thousand World, countless jet-black beams of destruction light flickered and slapped down mercilessly. And with the passage of time, above the sky of the Great Thousand World, some kind of Lingtian coercion began to permeate. That kind of aura, I am afraid that it must be a fighting god. This video will end here.